The moon hangs full over Godric's Hollow. The Potter cottage sits invisible behind a Fidelius charm, a secret kept by Peter Pettigrew, hidden even from those who stand in the lane outside searching for it. Sirius Black and Remus Lupin wait in that lane. They've been here for 3 hours, positioned just outside the Fidelius perimeter. Sirius paces like a caged animal, wand loose in his hand. Remus sits on a low stone wall, werewolf senses attuned to every sound, every shift in the air. He should have checked in by now, Sirius mutters. James always checks in. The wards might be interfering with the signal charms, Remus says, though he doesn't sound convinced. Or Peter's sold them out. You've seen it too. The nervous tics, the disappearing acts, the excuses about gathering intelligence that never materializes. Remus can't argue. He's noticed the same things. If Peter betrayed them, why hasn't Voldemort attacked yet? Maybe he's waiting. Maybe he's been watching, learning their patterns, choosing his moment. Sirius stops pacing and looks directly at Remus. We should be inside those wards, not out here playing sentry. Dumbledore said, Dumbledore doesn't know everything. James is my brother. If something happens and I'm standing out here doing nothing, the wards shudder. Both men feel it. A ripple of magic like a stone dropped in still water, emanating from where the invisible cottage stands. That's not supposed to happen, Remus says, already on his feet. Sirius fires a red flare from his wand, their prearranged emergency signal. It arcs into the air above the cottage's approximate location and explodes in crimson sparks. Then a figure materializes at the garden gate, tall, skeletal, wearing black robes that seem to drink the moonlight. Face pale as bone, eyes red as blood. Lord Voldemort has arrived. Get James and Lily out, Sirius roars at Remus. I'll hold him. You can't hold Voldemort alone. I don't have to hold him. Just delay him. Go. Remus vanishes with a crack of apparition, reappearing as close to the cottage as the wards allow, shouting James's name. Sirius walks forward to meet the Dark Lord at the gate. Sirius Black, Voldemort says, voice high and cold. The blood traitor, how fitting that you should die first. You're not getting to them, Sirius says. His voice is steady despite the terror screaming through his veins. Not tonight, not ever. He studied his family's dark magic his entire life, learned every curse the Blacks favored, memorized every counter. When Voldemort casts a purple-cutting curse, one favored by Bellatrix, Sirius deflects it with a shield designed specifically to disperse that frequency of dark magic. The curse splits against his shield like water hitting stone. Voldemort's eyes narrow. Clever, but insufficient. He attacks in earnest. 3 curses simultaneously, a killing curse center, a bone-breaking hex left, a blood-boiling curse right. It's a technique that forces the target to choose which death to die. Sirius doesn't choose. He transforms. One moment human, the next a massive black dog. The curses pass through empty air where he stood. Padfoot charges, jaws aiming for Voldemort's wand arm. Voldemort apparates backward 5 feet. Sirius reverts mid-leap, landing human and casting a chain of blasting hexes that tear up the garden path. Impressive, Voldemort admits, but pointless. Inside the cottage, James and Lily Potter hear the explosions. James is already moving, grabbing his wand from the mantle. Lily has baby Harry in her arms, the pre-prepared evacuation ritual ready. The safe room, James says urgently. Now. You're not facing him alone. I'm not. Sirius is buying us seconds. Remus will be here any moment. We stick to the plan. Lily kisses Harry's forehead and speaks 3 words in ancient Welsh. The ritual activates. Harry disappears in a flash of golden light, transported to the heavily warded safe room deep in the cottage's foundation, protected by blood magic and wards that would take even Voldemort hours to break. The moment Harry vanishes, both James and Lily apparat to the garden. They materialize flanking Sirius, who's bleeding from a graze across his shoulder, but still standing. About time, Sirius gasps. Miss me? James asks, already assessing the battlefield. The garden is torn up. Voldemort stands at the gate, wand raised, looking faintly annoyed. The Potter family, Voldemort says, together at last. Your son? Safe, Lily says coldly, and you'll never reach him. We shall see. Remus apparates into position behind them, completing the formation. 4 against 1. The Marauders and Lily, exactly as they've trained for this nightmare scenario. Padfoot aggression left, James snaps, falling into their practiced battle language. Mooney, shields priority. Lily, protection ready, I'll control terrain. They move as one. James strikes the ground with his wand. The earth responds, transfiguring into a rippling wave of stone that surges toward Voldemort like a frozen tsunami. At the same moment, he conjures a flock of razor-edged metal birds that dive from above. Voldemort shatters the stone wave with a curse that turns it to dust. The birds he deflects with a shield. But while he's occupied, Sirius is flanked left and fires a concentrated beam of white-hot magic, a spell designed to shatter shields, learned from Black family grimoires, and perverted for the light side. Voldemort's shield cracks. He's forced to dodge into Lily's trap. She's been quietly chanting, weaving a complex charm that manipulates magical vectors. When Voldemort moves, her charm activates, his own defensive curse slides off course, redirected by her mathematical precision. It grazes his shoulder, first blood to the Potters. Voldemort's expression shifts from annoyance to interest. You've trained for this. How delightful, it's been too long since I faced worthy opponents. You won't enjoy it long, Remus says, already layering shield geometries between Voldemort and his friends. Overlapping hexagonal barriers of golden light that intercept the next barrage of killing curses. The duel intensifies. Voldemort fights like a force of nature, casting 3 curses for every one spell the others manage, moving with inhuman speed, adapting to their patterns within seconds. But he's one wizard, and they're 4 working in perfect synchronization. James transfigures the garden fence into animated serpents that strike from behind. When Voldemort burns them to ash, the ash itself becomes binding chains under Lily's charm work. When he breaks the chains, Sirius is already there with a point-blank blasting hex. Remus anticipates every counter, placing shields not where the attacks are but where they're going to be. They're not winning, but they're not losing either, and that's enough. Because Lily isn't just fighting, she's running a second spell, the sacrificial protection ritual she prepared months ago. She pulls a silver vial from her robes, blood willingly given, bound to Harry's life force, speaks words in a language older than Latin, draws a rune in the air with her wand tip that glows like molten gold. What are you doing? Voldemort demands, sensing the power building. Protecting my son, Lily says. With magic you'll never understand. I understand all magic. No, you understand power, you understand domination. But this, she completes the rune. This is love, and love is the one magic you can never master. The ritual completes. Golden light floods from Lily, racing toward the cottage, sinking into the wards, binding to the safe room where Harry sleeps. The protection settles over him like armor. Lily's willing sacrifice, her readiness to die for her child, woven into a permanent shield. Voldemort feels it. Feels the ancient magic forming. He abandons the duel with the Marauders and casts directly at the cottage. A killing curse so powerful it screams through the air like a meteor. The curse hits the protection. And rebounds. Not just rebounds, explodes. The collision of Voldemort's murder magic and Lily's sacrificial love creates a blast of green and gold light that throws everyone to the ground. The cottage's windows shatter, the garden erupts in flame. When the light fades, Voldemort's body is gone. Only his robes remain, empty and smoking. His wand lies on the scorched earth. James pushes himself up, ears ringing. Lily? I'm here. I'm okay. Sirius staggers to his feet. The protection ritual consumed him when he tried to break through. Harry, Lily gasps and runs for the cottage. They find him in the safe room, crying but unharmed. Lily scoops him up, holding him so tight he squeaks in protest. You're safe, she whispers into his hair. You're safe. We're all safe. James wraps his arms around both of them. Sirius and Remus stand guard, wands ready, scanning for any remaining threat. They stay like that for a long moment. A family reunited. A war won. Then footsteps crunch on broken glass. Peter Pettigrew stumbles through the shattered front door, face pale, eyes wide with shock. I came as fast as I could, he gasps. I felt the wards collapse. What happened? Is everyone... The Fidelius should have made this location unshareable except by the secret keeper. Which means either you told Voldemort where to find them, Sirius's voice drops to a deadly whisper, or this is a massive coincidence. And I don't believe in coincidences. Peter's eyes dart toward the door. Sirius shifts his stance, blocking the exit. James, Peter pleads. James, we're friends. You can't believe... The signal flare. Remus says suddenly. "We fired it almost 10 minutes ago. You're only arriving now. We tested those flares. Maximum response time was 60 seconds. I was far away. I had to." "You were waiting," James says, understanding crystallizing. "Waiting to see who won. If Voldemort had killed us, you'd have played the grieving friend. Since we survived, you're playing the concerned ally. That's insane." "Prove it," Lily says coldly. "Take Veritaserum, right now." Peter goes even paler. "You don't trust me? After everything we've been through?" "I trust my family," Sirius says. "And you're not my family. Not anymore. You're going to come with us to the Ministry. You're going to submit to Veritaserum and a full Wizengamot inquiry, and if you're innocent, we'll apologize. But if you're guilty, you'll kill me? Just like that? No. I'll let the law handle you. But I'll make sure everyone knows what you did." Peter's face twists. For a moment, he looks like he might run. Then his shoulders slump. "I didn't have a choice. The Dark Lord, he would have killed me. He was winning. Everyone said he was winning. There's a difference. Losing means you can still fight back. You chose not to." Peter Pettigrew is arrested that night. Under Veritaserum at his Ministry interrogation, he confesses everything, revealing Death Eater meeting locations, confirming Voldemort's identity as Tom Riddle, naming accomplices who helped conceal his spying. The trial takes 3 days. Sirius Black is publicly exonerated of all suspicion. Peter is sentenced to life in Azkaban. But the Marauders don't attend sentencing. They're too busy at Potter Manor, formerly Godric's Hollow Cottage but now expanded, reinforcing wards, setting protection details, and trying to process the fact that they won. They survived the war, all of them, together. 5 years later, the world has changed. Voldemort's defeat fractured the Death Eaters. Some fled the country, others faced trials. A few disappeared into hiding, waiting for a resurrection that most believe will never come. The Potters moved from the damaged Godric's Hollow Cottage to Potter Manor in the West Country, an ancestral estate James inherited from his grandfather. It's a sprawling property with open grounds, ancient wards keyed to Potter blood, and enough space for a growing family and their extended chosen family. Sirius, once exonerated, claimed his inheritance as Lord Black. He cleansed 12 Grimmauld Place of its darkest artifacts, sending cursed objects to secure vaults, burning malevolent portraits, ripping down the oppressive decor that celebrated blood purity. What remained became something new, a bright, functional headquarters for the Reformed Order of the Phoenix, and a legal operations base near the Ministry. Remus split his time between Potter Manor and Grimmauld Place, teaching defense classes to young Order recruits while researching dark creature legislation. They'd won the war, but they knew better than to assume it was over, which is why Lily volunteers for the Muggle-born Liaison Initiative. It's a ministry program, barely funded, mostly ignored, designed to help magical children from non-magical families navigate their first experiences with magic. Lily remembers being that child, remembers the fear and wonder and confusion when her magic first manifested. She wants to help others through it. On a gray March morning, she sits in a small ministry office reviewing case files. Most are routine, minor accidental magic, worried parents, standard Hogwarts letters coming in 5 years. Then she opens Hermione Granger's file. Age, 6 years old. Parents, David and Helen Granger, both dentists, Muggle, incidents flagged, 17 in the past year. Lily reads the detailed reports. Each incident is different but shares a common thread. Precision. When Hermione was angry at a bully, she didn't explode windows randomly. She made the bully's shoelaces tie together in complex knots that took an adult 20 minutes to undo. When she wanted a book from a high shelf, she didn't knock the whole shelf over. She levitated exactly the book she wanted, guided it to her hands, and set it down gently. When she accidentally broke her parents' favorite mug, she repaired it, perfectly, seamlessly, before they noticed. This child has extraordinary control, Lily murmurs to herself. At 6, that's, even Lily's own early magic, impressive for a Muggle-born, had been cruder. Swings flying too high, flowers growing too fast. Lily could direct her magic toward outcomes, yes, but not with this level of fine manipulation. Hermione Granger is either the most talented Muggle-born witch in a generation, or she's going to accidentally do something catastrophic because her power exceeds her understanding. Either way, the ministry's standard response, sending a stern letter and waiting until age 11, isn't sufficient. Lily takes the file to Remus. "What do you think?" she asks, spreading the incident reports across his desk at Grimmauld Place. Remus reads carefully, his professor instincts analyzing each case. Remarkable control. The magical stamina alone, 17 incidents in a year without apparent burnout. Most children manage 2 or 3 before exhausting themselves and entering a dormant phase. Should I visit them? The ministry will object. Early intervention is technically outside protocol unless there's imminent danger. There is imminent danger. If this child doesn't get proper guidance, she'll either hurt herself, reveal magic to the wrong people, or attract ministry attention that results in memory charms and surveillance. Then visit them, but take me with you. Having a former professor makes it feel less threatening. They apparate to the address listed in the file, a neat suburban home in North London. The Grangers answer the door together, clearly nervous. David Granger is tall, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Helen Granger has the same bushy brown hair as her daughter, pulled back in a practical ponytail. Mr. and Mrs. Granger, I'm Lily Potter. This is Remus Lupin. We're from the Ministry of Magic. May we come in? The Grangers exchange glances. Magic, David says flatly. You're really saying magic is real? Yes, and your daughter has it. I know this is overwhelming, but we need to discuss Hermione's safety. They sit in a living room that's aggressively normal. Floral wallpaper, family photos, a television in the corner. Hermione herself is upstairs, supposedly doing homework. Our daughter isn't dangerous, Helen says defensively. I didn't say she was. I said she needs guidance. May I show you something? The Grangers flinch. Don't worry, I'm just going to demonstrate. Lily points at a potted plant on the windowsill. Orchideus, a bouquet of orchids materializes in midair and floats gently into Helen's hands. The room goes silent. That's impossible, David whispers. It's real, and your daughter can already do similar things, though she doesn't understand how or why. Lily vanishes the flowers with another flick. The incidents you've been experiencing, the tied shoelaces, the floating books, the repaired mug, that's Hermione's magic manifesting. But she's 6 years old. Magical children often display accidental magic from ages 5 to 10. What makes Hermione unusual is the level of control. Most children at her age produce random bursts of power. Hermione is already directing her magic towards specific outcomes. But without training, that talent becomes dangerous. Not to others necessarily, but to herself and to the statute of secrecy. The law that keeps the magical world hidden from the non-magical world. If Hermione continues performing magic in public spaces, eventually someone will notice. The ministry will investigate. And their solution, Lily's expression hardens, is often memory modification for Hermione and anyone who witnessed her magic. Helen's hand tightens on her husband's arm. You're saying they'd erase our memories? Or put Hermione under surveillance, restrict her magic, possibly remove her from your home if they deem the situation uncontrolled. That's barbaric. It's policy. I don't agree with it, which is why I'm here offering an alternative. Which is? Lily takes a breath. This is the part where she goes off script, the part the ministry didn't authorize. My husband and I can take Hermione as a ward. She'd live with us at our estate. It's heavily protected by magic. A safe environment for her to learn control. She'd receive structured magical education, meet other magical children, and develop her abilities without fear of exposure or punishment. You want to take our daughter? David's voice rises. I want to protect her, and I want to give you all a choice the ministry won't. This would be a guardianship arrangement, not adoption. Hermione remains legally your daughter. She'd spend summers and holidays with you, but during the school year she'd live at Potter Manor, learning magic in a controlled environment. You don't know us, a Muggle-born witch with no guidance, fumbling through accidental magic, terrified of what I could do. I made it to Hogwarts at 11, but those years before, they were lonely and frightening. I can give Hermione what I didn't have, a mentor who understands, a safe space to practice, and preparation for a world that will judge her for her heritage. Her heritage, Helen asks carefully. Muggle-born witches and wizards face prejudice in the magical world. Some pure-blood families consider us inferior because we weren't born into magic. It's ugly and it's wrong, but it's real. Growing up at Potter Manor means Hermione will be protected by one of the oldest magical families in Britain. She'll learn not just magic, but how to navigate magical politics and society. Remus adds gently. It also means she'll have friends. Lily and James have a son, Harry, who's about Hermione's age. They're already planning his magical education. Hermione wouldn't be alone. The Grangers are silent for a long moment. Can we meet your family? David asks finally. Before we decide, Lily returns to Potter Manor and explains the situation to James, who immediately agrees. Another prodigy to train? James grins. Absolutely. Besides, Harry needs a friend who isn't just us. When the Grangers arrive at Potter Manor, they find a sprawling estate that looks like something from a period drama. Stone walls covered in ivy, extensive gardens, a practice pitch for flying visible in the distance. James greets them at the door, charming and warm. Mr. and Mrs. Granger, welcome. I'm James Potter. This reprobate, he gestures at Sirius, who's lounging on a sofa, is Sirius Black, Harry's godfather and general troublemaker. Pleased to meet you, Sirius says, standing and bowing with exaggerated formality. And I believe you've met Remus, James continues. He lives here about half the time, teaching and researching. It's beautiful, Helen says, looking around the entrance hall. High ceilings, warm wood paneling, portraits that shift and whisper when they think no one's watching. It's home, Lily says simply. Would you like to meet Harry? He's 5 years old, small for his age, with messy black hair that refuses to stay flat and bright green eyes behind round glasses. Harry. These are the Grangers. They have a daughter named Hermione who might be coming to stay with us. Harry looks up. Is she nice? I don't know yet, Lily admits. Why don't you ask her yourself? Hermione, would you like to come in? Hermione has been hovering in the doorway, both curious and terrified. She steps forward carefully. She's small, with bushy brown hair and brown eyes that are too serious for a 6-year-old. She's clutching a book, something about astronomy. Hello, Harry says. Do you like dragons? I don't know much about dragons, Hermione admits. Are they real? Very real, James says. And very dangerous, but also magnificent. Would you like to see some pictures? Harry enthusiastically shows Hermione his book. Within minutes, they're deep in discussion about whether Hungarian horntails are scarier than Ukrainian ironbellies. The adults watch from the doorway. She fits right in, Sirius observes. She does, David Granger says quietly. But this is a lot to process. Magic, estates, pure-blood prejudice. We need time to think. Of course, Lily says. Take all the time you need, but... She hesitates. I should warn you. The Ministry will eventually flag Hermione's incidents as a pattern requiring intervention. If you wait too long, the choice might be taken from you. It's not a threat. It's reality. The Grangers understand that. 3 days later, they return with their decision. We'll agree to the arrangement, Helen says. But we have conditions. Hermione visits us every month. We receive regular updates on her progress, and if at any point she's unhappy or asks to come home, we take her back immediately. Agreed, Lily says. All of it. Hermione is your daughter. She searches for the right word. Her magical guardians, her teachers, her protectors in a world you can't access. And her second family, James adds, will love her like our own. I promise you that. The Grangers don't fully trust this yet. How could they? But they see the sincerity in Lily's eyes, the warmth in James's smile, the careful professionalism in Remus's notes. They agree. Hermione Granger moves into Potter Manor in September of 1986. She's given a room next to Harry's, bright and airy, with bookshelves already filling with magical texts Lily carefully selected for a beginner. Her belongings from home arrive via a careful combination of Muggle moving van and shrunk trunk. That first night, Lily tucks both children into bed. Are you scared? She asks Hermione gently. A little. It's so different here. I know, but you're safe and you're not alone. Harry's right next door, and if you need anything at all, you can come find me or James. We're your family now, not replacing your parents, but adding to them, Hermione suggests. Exactly. Lily kisses her forehead. Sleep well, my second girl. In the hallway, James wraps an arm around Lily's waist. You know this changes everything, right? Training 2 prodigies instead of 1? I know. But it's the right thing to do. I agree. And Sirius will be thrilled. Twice the chaos to encourage. That's what worries me. They laugh quietly and head to their own room, leaving 2 children sleeping peacefully under the protection of ancient wards and chosen family. Harry and Hermione, the boy who lived, and the girl who would become the brightest witch of her age, raised together, protected together, trained together. The wizarding world has no idea what's coming. The training begins gently. Harry is 5, Hermione is 6. They're children, not soldiers, but they're also magical prodigies growing up in the home of 4 war veterans who understand that preparation saves lives. The first lessons aren't about combat, they're about control. Lily's morning theory sessions. Every morning after breakfast, Lily gathers both children in the sunlit study overlooking the gardens. She's created a curriculum that bridges Muggle and magical thinking, something no Hogwarts professor has attempted because most purebloods don't understand Muggle science. Magic follows rules, Lily explains, drawing diagrams on an enchanted chalkboard that rearranges itself to illustrate her points. Different rules than Muggle physics, but still consistent. When you cast a levitation charm, you're not breaking gravity, you're applying a magical force that counteracts it. Hermione's hand shoots up. So magic is like another fundamental force, like electromagnetism? Exactly, though it responds to intention in ways electromagnetic fields don't. Harry, what happens when you try to levitate something too heavy? Harry thinks carefully. He's seen James demonstrate this. The spell fails, or you get really tired. Lily levitates a feather with her wand. Feel the magic, don't just watch it. Close your eyes. Can you sense the force I'm applying? But Lily teaches them to feel magic moving around them, to recognize the signature of different spells, to understand that magic is as observable as gravity if you know what to look for. Hermione absorbs everything like a sponge. She fills notebooks with observations, cross-referencing magical theory with Muggle science, building frameworks that won't fully make sense for years, but create foundational understanding. Harry learns differently, more intuitive, less systematic. But he has an instinct for when magic feels right versus wrong that impresses even Lily. Twice a week, Lily takes them to the Manor's potion lab, a bright, well-ventilated room that smells of herbs and mineral salts. She's modified her old Hogwarts curriculum for children. Potions are chemistry plus magic, Lily says, setting out ingredients. We're making a simple color-changing potion today. Hermione, can you read the instructions? Hermione reads carefully. Crush moonstone, add to water, stir clockwise 3 times. I don't know. Good answer. I don't know is always better than guessing. The direction of stirring affects how magical energy flows through the mixture. Clockwise draws power inward. Counterclockwise releases it outward. Harry, try stirring this sample counterclockwise and tell me what you observe. Harry stirs. The potion begins bubbling more vigorously. It's getting excited, Harry says. Excellent description. The energy is being released. Now switch to clockwise. The bubbling calms. The potion's color deepens. You're containing the energy, Lily explains, letting it build instead of escape. This is why following instructions matters in potions, not because rules are sacred, but because each step has a purpose. Hermione's natural precision makes her a prodigy at potions. She can measure ingredients to exact specifications, maintain perfect timing, and adjust temperature with obsessive care. Harry is less precise but more intuitive. He can sense when a potion is about to tip from success to disaster, adjusting heat or stirring speed by feel rather than strict instruction. You're both excellent, Lily tells them after a successful session, just in different ways. Hermione, you follow the map perfectly. Harry, you can navigate without one when the map is wrong. You'll need both skills. The grounds of Potter Manor include a Quidditch pitch, not regulation size, but large enough for practice. James starts teaching flight before either child can read cursive. Flying isn't about controlling the broom, James explains, standing in the grass with 2 child-sized training brooms hovering beside him. It's about partnership. The broom wants to fly. You just tell it where. Harry mounts his broom naturally. Within minutes, he's hovering 3 feet off the ground, grinning with delight. Hermione is more cautious. What if I fall? Then you fall 3 feet onto grass. I've put cushioning charms down. You literally cannot get hurt. James gentles his voice. Hermione, I know you like understanding things before you try them. But flying is about trust. Trust the broom. Trust yourself. Trust that I'm right here. She tries. It's wobbly at first, but within a week, both children can hover, move forward, and execute gentle turns. By month 3, they're flying formation drills, staying level with each other, matching speed, learning to move as a unit. Why do we need to fly together? Harry asks during a break. Because in a crisis, you need to know where your partner is without looking. If Hermione is always on your left in formation, your instincts learn that. When someone attacks from that side, you don't waste time checking if she's clear. You know she's there, and you cover each other. It's tactical thinking presented as a game. They're 7 years old, racing through the air, laughing. They're also learning combat coordination without realizing it. James can't give them wands yet, but he can teach them to recognize transfiguration and understand its principles. "Watch," James says, pointing his wand at a stone. "Feraverto." The stone becomes a small rabbit. The rabbit hops twice, then James reverses the spell. "What did I change?" James asks. "The stone into a rabbit," Harry says. "Deeper, what properties changed?" Hermione thinks. "Mass, the rabbit weighs less than the stone." Excellent start. Also, texture, temperature, atomic structure, biological function. Transfiguration is the most complex branch of magic because you're rewriting reality at every level. That's why it's dangerous. If I do it wrong, I might create a rabbit-stone hybrid that's alive and suffering. He shows them failed transfigurations, carefully prepared examples of objects stuck between states. A feather that's half stone, a mouse with wooden legs. These are controlled failures I created in a lab, James explains. In real life, these mistakes would be tragic. That's why we practice obsessively. Transfiguration requires perfect visualization and intent. He spends months teaching them to visualize transformations in detail before they ever attempt one. They draw diagrams, build models, learn anatomy and geology and chemistry, all in service of understanding what they'll eventually change. Remus treats their education like a Hogwarts course compressed and customized. He's a natural teacher, patient, thorough, able to explain complex concepts in ways children understand. Defense against the dark arts isn't about dark arts, Remus says during their first formal lesson. It's about recognizing danger, avoiding it when possible, and neutralizing it when necessary. The best defense is not getting into the situation at all. He teaches them to identify dark magic by its signature, shows them the difference between a cutting curse and a severing charm. Both slice, but dark magic carries malicious intent that affects the wound's behavior. "Feel this," Remus says, casting a mild stinging hex at a practice dummy. "Notice how the magic dissipates after impact. Now watch this." The impact lingers, spreading like infection. Dark magic wants to keep hurting. It's designed to cause maximum suffering. That's how you identify it, not just by the spell's name, but by its behavior. He's careful never to let them cast truly dark magic, but he teaches them to recognize it, to counter it, to understand the tactics dark wizards use. "You'll face bullies at Hogwarts who know casual hexes," Remus says. "You'll face worse later if Voldemort's followers regroup. I'd rather you be over-prepared than under-protected." They practice shield charms using toy wands that emit harmless sparks. Learn to recognize when someone is about to cast, study body language and wand positioning. Magic starts before the incantation, Remus teaches. Watch the eyes, watch the wand hand. A duelist telegraphs their intent in the second before they cast. If you're watching, you can react before the spell finishes. Remus's teen tactics. Twice a week, Remus runs tactical exercises with both children. "You're a team," Remus says. "That means you cover each other's weaknesses and amplify strengths." "Hermione, what's your advantage over Harry?" "I'm better at planning," Hermione offers. "More than that, you think 3 steps ahead. You see patterns he might miss. You're the strategist." "Harry, what's your advantage?" "I'm faster," Harry guesses. "Yes, but also, you trust your instincts. You act while others are still thinking. You're the executor." Together, Remus gestures. Hermione sees the trap. Harry springs into action to counter it. Hermione plans the defense. Harry implements it without hesitation. You're balanced. He creates scenarios. Simple at first. Someone's coming around that corner to hex you. What do? They learn to position themselves. Harry forward as point. Hermione slightly back with clear line of sight. When the pretend threat appears, Harry dodges while Hermione calls out the spell type. They practice until it's instinctive. In a real fight, Remus says, you won't have time to discuss strategy. You need to know each other so well that you move as one person with 2 bodies. Sirius is less structured than the others. His teaching style is chaos controlled by experience. The other 3 are teaching you proper magic, Sirius says during his first session. I'm teaching you how to win when proper doesn't cut it. He takes them to the cleansed Black family library at Grimmauld Place. The most dangerous texts are sealed, but there's plenty of material on defensive dark arts that toes the line without crossing it. This is a blood-boiling curse, Sirius says, showing them a diagram. Invented by my lovely cousin Bellatrix. Horrible, painful, illegal. You will never cast it, but you need to know it exists, how to recognize it, and how to counter it. He teaches them dirty fighting, the kind of magic aurors use when facing Death Eaters who don't care about rules. If someone casts this at you, a standard shield won't work. The curse bypasses physical barriers and targets your blood directly. The counter is here, he points to a rune. A circulation stasis charm that temporarily stops your blood from moving, preventing the boiling effect long enough to disrupt the curse. That sounds dangerous too, Hermione says. It is. You can maintain stasis for maybe 5 seconds before you pass out, but 5 seconds is enough to counter curse. That's the difference between survival and death. He's careful, never gratuitous, never encouraging darkness, but he refuses to let them be naive. The world has bad wizards, Sirius says bluntly. They will hurt you if given the chance. I'd rather you know how they think, what weapons they'll use, and how to dismantle them. Practical application, Sirius runs combat drills that are more realistic than Remus's tactical exercises. He enlists James to play antagonist, casting actual spells, not pretend ones, while Sirius teaches the children to dodge and counter. James is coming around the corner in 3 seconds, Sirius says. He's going to cast a disarming charm. What do? Shield, Harry suggests. Waste of energy. Better dodge and let it hit something behind us, Hermione offers. Even better, best, move so we're not where he expects, and counter while he's adjusting his aim, they say together. Perfect. Now do it. James comes around the corner casting Expelliarmus. Harry and Hermione split in opposite directions. James's spell passes between them. While he's recovering, they converge from both sides, forcing him to choose which to block. Dead, James says cheerfully, lowering his wand. I can't shield both vectors. Good job. Over months of practice, they learn to fight as a bonded pair, anticipating each other's moves, covering blind spots, creating situations where one target becomes 2 problems for the opponent. By their final 2 years before Hogwarts, the training integrates. All 4 mentors teach together, creating complex scenarios that require everything the children have learned. You're in Diagon Alley, James announces. 3 Death Eaters apparat in. They're targeting you specifically. What do? Hermione thinks fast. Assess escape routes. Identify civilian risk. Signal for help. How do you signal? Emergency portkey? Harry suggests. Blocked by anti-portkey wards the Death Eaters set up. Try again. Patronus Messenger, Hermione says. You're 11. You can't cast a corporeal Patronus yet. Then we can't signal for help, Harry says. We have to survive until someone notices. Correct. So, tactics. They work through the scenario, using transfiguration to create barriers, James is teaching, potion vials from Hermione's pack, creating smoke screens, Lily's teaching, recognizing the curses being cast and countering appropriately, Remus is teaching, fighting dirty when necessary, transfiguring the ground beneath a Death Eater's feet to mud, causing them to slip, Sirius is teaching. Not bad, James says when they successfully survive the scenario. Points for combining disciplines, minus points for not using the environment more. Diagon Alley has shops full of resources. Think bigger. The next time they run it, Hermione transfigures shop signs into projectiles while Harry levitates trash bins as improvised shields. Better, Sirius approves. Chaotic, creative, effective. That's how you survive overwhelming odds. The super mentor dynamic family dinners become tactical debriefs. Harry's improving at transfiguration, James reports over roast chicken one evening. He turned a mouse into a snuff box today. Clean transformation. Quick reversal. Level, Lily adds. Her wit-sharpening potion yesterday was perfect. I had her brew a batch for Remus's research. They're both excellent duelists for their age, Remus says. Though they still telegraph their attacks, we need more work on feints and misdirection. I'll handle that, Sirius volunteers. Marauders' specialty, looking like you're doing one thing while actually doing another. The children listen, absorbing feedback, understanding that their mentors work as a coordinated unit. Who's your favorite teacher? Harry asks Hermione one night after dinner. That's not fair. They're all teaching different things, but if you had to choose, Hermione considers. Lily makes the most sense. Remus is the most organized. James is the most fun. Sirius is the most exciting. I can't choose. The 4 mentors deliberately avoid competing, instead presenting a unified approach where each discipline matters equally. The result, Harry and Hermione become balanced generalists with slight tilts based on natural aptitude. Harry leans toward action and instinct, his father's quick thinking and transfiguration, his godfather's creative chaos and combat, but grounded by his mother's theoretical understanding and Remus's tactical planning. Hermione leans toward strategy and precision, her adoptive mother's perfect potion work and charms mastery, Remus's systematic data knowledge, but enhanced by James's creative problem-solving and Sirius's willingness to bend rules when necessary. They're not specialists. They're prodigies trained in every discipline by masters of each. They're terrifying, and they don't even know it yet. King's Cross Station, platform 9 3/4. The Hogwarts Express gleams red in the morning sun. Families crowd the platform, tearful mothers, excited children, owls hooting from cages. Then the crowd parts. James Potter walks through first, confident and relaxed. He's 31 now, still wearing his Quidditch-toned physique comfortably. His hair is as messy as ever, but his robes are expensive, tailored in the old family style that marks him as Potter heir. Lily walks beside him, red hair bright in the sunlight. She's carrying nothing. Everything has already been shrunk and packed by house elves at the manor. She's scanning the crowd with an Auror's awareness, noting exits and potential threats. Sirius follows, lord of the manor in full black family regalia, black robes with silver trim, family crest prominent. He's grinning like this is the best day of his life. Remus brings up the rear, more subdued but alert. He's wearing professorial robes, looking every inch the former Hogwarts teacher he is. And between them, holding hands with each other, Harry and Hermione. Harry is 11, small for his age but wiry and strong from years of flying and training. His hair is the same disaster as his father's. His glasses are enchanted to be unbreakable. He wears robes tailored in Potter colors, deep red with gold trim, and carries himself with quiet confidence. Hermione is 12, taller than Harry with her bushy hair pulled back in a French braid secured with a silver clip. Her robes are similar to Harry's but with subtle differences, designed to match the family aesthetic while maintaining her individuality. She has a book bag over her shoulder that's obviously magically expanded. The whispers start immediately. Is that the boy who lived is a legend? But legends aren't supposed to walk through train stations accompanied by both living parents and a war hero godfather. Arthur Weasley approaches first, towing his youngest children, Ron and Ginny. James, Lily, good to see you. Arthur shakes hands warmly. He fought in the war with them. Though in different cells, is this Harry and Hermione Granger, Lily says. Our ward, she's been living with us since she was 6. Lovely to meet you both. This is Ron, my youngest son. He's starting Hogwarts this year, too. Ron stares at Harry with open awe. Blimey. You're actually Harry Potter. I'm actually Harry, yeah, Harry says, extending a hand. This is Hermione. Hi, Ron manages. Hermione's Muggle-born, Lily says deliberately, making sure Arthur and anyone listening hears. Brilliant at potions and charms. We've been training her alongside Harry. The message is clear. Hermione is under Potter protection. Anyone who has a problem with her blood status has a problem with the Potters. More families approach, some genuinely friendly. Others clearly political, making sure to be seen greeting the Potters in blacks, solidifying alliances. Lord Potter. Lord Black. Lucius Malfoy appears, smooth as oil. His son Draco stands beside him, pale and pointed. How unexpected to see you personally escorting young Harry to the Express. Most families trust the school to manage that. Most families aren't mine, James says evenly. Lucius, still buying your way onto school boards? I serve where I'm invited. You should consider it yourself. The Potter family's voice has been absent from Hogwarts governance for too long. We prefer to let educators educate rather than politicians politic. Lucius's smile thins. How progressive. And this is... He looks at Hermione with barely concealed disdain. Your ward? Indeed. Lucius doesn't shake her offered hand. A Muggle-born, raised by the Potters, how ecumenical. Draco, Lucius says to his son, remember what I taught you about proper associations. Yes, father. The Malfoys sweep away. James watches them go, jaw tight. That man is going to be a problem, Sirius mutters. He's always been a problem, James replies. But he's careful. He won't move openly against us. The warning whistle sounds. Time to board. James pulls Harry into a hug. Remember everything we taught you. Trust your instincts, watch each other's backs, and have fun. Hogwarts is amazing, and you're going to love it. Unless Snape is still terrible, Sirius adds, in which case, feel free to prank him mercilessly. Sirius, Lily protests. What? I'm giving sound, tactical advice. Lily hugs both children fiercely. Be safe, be smart. Write us every week. And remember, you're not just students, you're Potters. Act like it. What does that mean exactly? Hermione asks. It means you're brave, you're clever, and you stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. Just like we raised you. He presses a small package into each of their hands. Emergency supplies, healing potions, pepper-up potions, one-use shield amulets, and emergency port keys keyed to Potter Manor. Don't open them unless you need them. Why would we need emergency port keys at Hogwarts? Harry asks. You probably won't. But we're paranoid. Humor us. The children board the train, find a compartment. Wave as the express begins to move. On the platform, the four adults watch until the train disappears around a bend. They'll be fine, Lily says, though she sounds like she's convincing herself. They'll be better than fine, James corrects. They're the most prepared first years Hogwarts has ever seen. That's what worries me, Remus says quietly. Prepared students ask questions, challenge authority. Dumbledore won't like that. Then Dumbledore will have to adjust, Sirius says flatly. We won the war. We raised our children our way. If the old man doesn't like it, he can cope. They apparate home, leaving behind a platform 9 3/4 buzzing with speculation about the Potter-Black Alliance and what it means for Hogwarts power dynamics. On the train, Harry and Hermione settle into their compartment. Ron joins them, still starstruck but friendly. So, Ron says, is it true your dad fought you-know-who personally? Dad, Mum, Sirius, and Remus fought him together, Harry corrects. 4-on-1, they won. 4 Marauders against the Dark Lord himself. Ron pauses. What's it like growing up with war heroes? Normal, Hermione offers. I mean, it's all we've known. They're just family to us. Blimey, you do know most kids don't get private tutoring from former data professors and potion masters, right? Mum and Dad are very clear about that. They say with privilege comes responsibility. Use what we've learned to make things safer for everyone, not just ourselves. Ron looks at them with new respect. You sound older than 11. We've been training since we were 5, Hermione explains. It changes your perspective. The compartment door slides open. Draco Malfoy stands there with 2 large boys behind him. Crabbe and Goyle, if the descriptions are accurate. Potter, Granger. Draco's tone is dismissive. Weasley, what a collection. The famous boy who lived, a mudblood, and a blood traitor. How democratic. Harry and Hermione exchange glances. They've been warned about this. Prepared for it. Malfoy, Harry says calmly. Do you need something, or are you just practicing your father's rehearsed insults? Draco's pale face flushes. Watch your tongue, Potter. My father serves on the Hogwarts Board of Governors, Hermione finishes. We know. We were there when your father tried to intimidate ours. It didn't work on the platform, and it won't work here. You should choose your friends more carefully, Potter. The Weasleys are poor, and she's, he gestures at Hermione, Muggle-born. You could associate with proper wizarding families. We prefer to associate with decent people, Harry says. Blood status doesn't determine worth. Our parents taught us that. Your mother is Muggle-born herself, Draco sneers. What would she know about proper wizarding society? Given that she's a war hero who helped defeat Voldemort, and he's a former Death Eater who bought his way out of Azkaban, the compartment goes silent. Even Ron looks shocked at Hermione's directness. Draco's wand hand twitches. Don't, Harry says quietly. His voice carries a warning that sounds much older than 11. You really don't want to duel us. Trust me on this. Now. Are you leaving? Or do we need to involve a prefect? Draco stares at them for a long moment, clearly weighing his options. Then he turns and stalks away. Crabbe and Goyle trailing behind. Bloody hell, Ron breathes. You made Malfoy back down, without even drawing wands. Remus taught us that most fights end before they start if you're confident enough, Hermione explains. Malfoy's a bully. Bullies fold when you don't show fear. Still, that was brilliant. The rest of the journey passes pleasantly. They share sweets from the trolley. Hermione shows them both a card game Lily taught her that helps with tactical thinking. Harry demonstrates a levitation exercise James uses for Quidditch training. By the time the express reaches Hogsmeade, they've added Neville Longbottom to their group, a nervous boy who lost his toad, and who Hermione helped find using a tracking spell she learned from Remus. Hagrid calls for first years at the platform. The crossing of the Black Lake is magical. Hermione leans over the boat's edge, fascinated by the giant squid's silhouette passing beneath them. Then Hogwarts itself comes into view. "It's beautiful," Hermione breathes. "It's home," Harry says. They don't know it yet, but they're about to change everything. The Great Hall is exactly as magnificent as James and Lily described. Floating candles, enchanted ceilings showing the night sky, 4 long house tables beneath banners of scarlet, blue, yellow, and green. But it's the staff table that draws Harry and Hermione's attention first. Dumbledore sits at the center, resplendent in purple robes, his silver beard catching candlelight. McGonagall stands beside him in her pointed hat, stern and commanding. And at the far end, dressed entirely in black, sits Severus Snape. Snape's expression when he sees the first-year line is extraordinary. His eyes lock on Harry Potter, messy black hair, green eyes behind glasses, small and confident. Recognition flashes across his face. Then his gaze shifts to the adults in the gallery. Because of course James, Lily, Sirius, and Remus are here. Having invoked an obscure family right to witness their children's sorting, Snape sees Lily Potter, alive, red hair vibrant, green eyes bright, standing beside her husband with easy comfort. For one moment, Severus Snape's legendary control shatters. His face goes white. His hands grip the edge of the table hard enough that his knuckles turn bone pale. Dumbledore notices, leans over. "Severus, are you well?" "She's alive," Snape says hoarsely. "How is she alive? The Potters survived Voldemort's attack." "Surely you knew." "I thought, I was told." Snape stops, visibly collecting himself. "The report said the cottage was destroyed. The cottage was damaged. The family survived." Dumbledore's eyes are sad. "I'm sorry, Severus. I thought you knew." Snape says nothing, just stares at Lily like she's a ghost. She's laughing at something Sirius said, completely unaware of the man whose entire world just realigned in the space of a heartbeat. McGonagall calls for silence. The sorting begins. Names are called alphabetically. Abbott Hannah becomes a Hufflepuff. Boot, Terry goes to Ravenclaw. The Hat's decisions are swift and certain. Then Granger, Hermione. Hermione walks to the stool with her head high. The hat settles over her bushy hair, far too large, nearly covering her eyes. The conversation happens inside her mind. "Ah, Miss Granger. Or should I say Miss Potter by choice. Interesting, very interesting indeed." "What do you see?" Hermione thinks. "Brilliance, a mind that consumes knowledge like fire consumes dry wood. You've already mastered material most fourth years struggle with. Ravenclaw would treasure you. You'd thrive in the tower, surrounded by those who value wit and learning. But you're loyal to a fault, to Harry, to the family that chose you, to the ideals Lily taught you. Hufflepuff would celebrate that devotion. And you're brave in ways that matter. Brave enough to stand beside Harry Potter knowing the attention and danger that brings. Brave enough to be Muggle-born in a world that might judge you for it. That's Gryffindor courage. Where should I go? Where will you do the most good? Where will your training be best used?" Hermione thinks of Lily's words on the platform. "You're not just students. You're Potters. Stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. Gryffindor, put me where I can help people, where I can use everything they taught me to make things better. A tactician's choice, very well. But know this, your Ravenclaw nature will always be part of you. Use it wisely." The Gryffindor table erupts in cheers. Hermione walks to her house, still processing the hat's words, and sits near the middle of the table. In the gallery, Lily squeezes James's hand. "First one sorted. And into our house," James says proudly. More names pass. Longbottom Neville goes to Gryffindor, looking relieved. "Malfoy Draco" goes to Slytherin with barely a pause, the hat calling the house name almost before touching his head. Then, Potter Harry. The hall goes completely silent. Every eye tracks Harry as he walks to the stool. The boy who lived. The child who survived the killing curse. The son of war heroes who stands now before the entire school. The hat descends over his wild black hair. "Harry Potter, I've waited 11 years to sork you. Your parents sat beneath me, James, pure Gryffindor through and through. Lily could have been Ravenclaw but chose Gryffindor for courage and heart. And you? You're both of them, and more. What do you see? Slytherin qualities in abundance. You're clever, ambitious in your desire to protect others, willing to use any advantage. Your godfather taught you well. You'd thrive in Slytherin learning to navigate politics and power. But you're also loyal beyond question. Hufflepuff would claim that loyalty gladly. You'd die for Hermione, for your family, for anyone under your protection. Not flashy courage that seeks glory, but structural courage, the kind that stands between danger and innocence. That's Gryffindor through and through. I've learned a lot. Theory, tactics, everything Remus taught. You've learned, yes, but you're not driven by learning for its own sake. You learn to act. That's the difference. Where should I go? Where Hermione is. You'll work together regardless of house. But yes, together in Gryffindor, you'll be a force that reshapes the school. The Marauder heirs, trained by 4 masters. I haven't seen students this prepared in a century. Is that good or bad? That depends entirely on what you choose to do with it. But I trust Lily's teaching. She raised you right. Gryffindor it is. Gryffindor. Harry walks to sit beside Hermione. They exchange grins. Same house, Hermione says. As if there was any doubt, Harry replies. At the staff table, Dumbledore's expression is thoughtful. This wasn't unexpected. Both children showing the balanced traits of 4 complementary mentors. But it confirms what he suspected. These children aren't the isolated, easily guided students he might have preferred. They're a bonded unit, trained in concert, loyal first to each other and their family. That changes everything. The rest of the sorting proceeds. Weasley, Ronald joins them at Gryffindor. Zabini, Blaise ends up in Slytherin. When it's complete, Dumbledore stands to give his welcome speech. His eyes twinkle as he surveys the hall. Welcome to a new year at Hogwarts. Before we begin our feast, I have a few announcements. The Forbidden Forest remains forbidden to all students. Mr. Filch has asked me to remind you that magic in the corridors is prohibited, and the 3rd floor corridor on the right-hand side is out of bounds to anyone who does not wish to die a most painful death. He says it cheerfully, as if warning about a particularly tricky essay question. Harry and Hermione exchange glances. That's not normal, Hermione mouths. Obviously a trap or test, Harry mouths back. And now, let the feast begin. Food appears on golden platters. The hall fills with conversation and laughter. At the Gryffindor table, Fred Weasley leans over. Did Dumbledore seriously just announce a death trap in the school? Absolutely not, Hermione says firmly. It's clearly dangerous. That's what makes it worth investigating. Or, Harry suggests, we could ask our parents what they think. They might know something about it. Fred and George look at him in confusion. Ask your parents, George echoes. What kind of Gryffindor asks permission before breaking rules? The kind raised by Marauders who understand the difference between calculated risk and stupid danger, Harry replies. Trust me, if it's worth investigating, we'll investigate, but we'll do it smart. Hermione adds, our parents fought in a war. They taught us that bravery without strategy is how you get killed. Agreed, George adds. Want to cause some chaos together this year? Depends on the chaos, Harry says. We're not opposed to rule-breaking. We're opposed to pointless rule-breaking. What did you have in mind? The conversation devolves into enthusiastic planning. Hermione takes mental notes, already categorizing which pranks are harmless fun and which would violate the ethical guidelines Lily taught them. At the staff table, McGonagall watches the Gryffindor first years with mixed pride and concern. They're already forming alliances. The Potter boy and Granger girl are natural leaders, Dumbledore observes, as expected given their upbringing. Will that be a problem? That depends on whether they choose to work with us or around us. James was always headstrong. If Harry inherited that trait along with his training, Dumbledore trails off. You're concerned. I'm cautious. These children weren't raised in isolation or ignorance. They've been educated by 4 of the most talented witches and wizards of their generation. They won't accept authority blindly. They'll question, challenge, investigate. Isn't that what we want? Critical thinking? In theory, yes. In practice, Dumbledore sighs, I've hidden something very dangerous in this school to protect it. I'd prefer students didn't involve themselves, but if any students would detect it and refuse to leave it alone, it would be these 2. McGonagall follows his gaze to Harry and Hermione, who are now deep in animated conversation with half the Gryffindor table. They're 11 years old, albus. Age is less relevant than capability. The feast ends. Prefects lead first years to their dormitories. Percy Weasley shows them Gryffindor Tower, the fat lady's portrait, the common room's warmth and chaos, the spiral staircases to the dormitories. Boys up these stairs, girls up those, Percy announces. Breakfast is at 7:30 tomorrow. Don't be late for your first day of classes. In the boys' dormitory, Harry finds his trunk at the foot of a 4-poster bed. Ron takes the bed next to his, with Neville, Dean Thomas, and Seamus Finnegan filling out the room. "This is mental," Ron says as they change into pajamas. "We're at Hogwarts. Actually at Hogwarts. About the place being amazing, Dad doesn't lie. If he says it's amazing, it is." "Must be nice," Seamus says wistfully, "having parents who went here. Mine are Muggle. Well, Mum's a witch, but Dad's Muggle. They don't really understand all this. Hermione's Muggle-born," Harry offers. "Her parents don't understand it either. But that's okay. You don't need magical parents to be brilliant. Hermione's proof of that. She's smart, yeah?" Dean asks. "Smartest person I know. She was brewing perfect potions at age 8. She's read more books than most 7th years, and she's better at charms than I'll probably ever be." "But she's Muggle-born," Seamus says, confused. "How'd she get that good?" "Talent and hard work do. Our mum taught us that. It's a casual statement delivered without heat or judgment, but it lands firmly, establishing a baseline. Blood purity nonsense won't be tolerated here." Ron, raised by Arthur and Molly Weasley who share similar views, nods agreement. The others, uncertain, accept it as fact, because Harry Potter said it. That's how change starts, one conversation at a time. Harry and Hermione have been at Hogwarts for exactly 1 month when they realize something is wrong. It starts small. Observation. Patterns. The 3rd floor corridor, Hermione says during a study session in the common room. They're supposedly working on transfiguration homework, but Hermione's been taking notes on other things. Filch patrols past it 3 times a day. That's unusual. Most corridors get 1 patrol at night. "Maybe it's because Dumbledore warned us it was dangerous," Harry suggests. "Then why not seal it completely? The door isn't even locked. I checked. I walked past it. Didn't go in. But I tested the handle. It turns freely. If Dumbledore wanted to keep students out, he'd use locking charms or wards. This is theater," Harry finishes. "He's making it look forbidden while leaving it accessible." "Exactly, which suggests he wants someone to investigate, or he's created a test." Harry thinks about this, turning his quill between his fingers. "We should write to Dad and Sirius, ask if they know anything about it." Hermione nods and pulls out parchment. Her handwriting is precise, organized. "Dear Mum, Dad, Sirius, and Remus. Hogwarts is wonderful. Classes are good, though not as challenging as expected given our preparation. We've made friends, Ron Weasley and Neville Longbottom especially. A question. Dumbledore announced on our first night that the 3rd floor corridor on the right-hand side is forbidden and dangerous. However, the corridor isn't actually secured. The door is unlocked. Filch patrols it frequently but could be avoided easily. This feels like a deliberate setup. Is there something we should know? We're not planning to investigate without guidance, but we're concerned about what's being hidden in a school full of children. Love, Hermione." Harry agrees with everything above. He's just too lazy to write his own letter. "P.P.S. I'm not lazy. I'm efficient. Why write 2 letters when one covers everything?" Harry, the reply comes via Express Owl the next morning at breakfast. James's handwriting, fast and messy. Hermione and Harry. "Good catch. We didn't know about anything hidden at Hogwarts this year. We're looking into it. Do not investigate the corridor yourselves yet. Give us 3 days to research. Sirius is interrogating his ministry contacts. Remus is checking old order records. I'm visiting Dumbledore today to ask directly what he's playing at. Your instincts are right. Something is off. Stay vigilant. Watch for unusual staff behavior. If anyone seems particularly interested in that corridor, note it. Stay safe. Dad." "P.S. From your mother. I'm very proud that your first instinct was to gather information rather than rush in blindly. That's exactly what we taught you. Keep questioning things." The letter vanishes after they read it. A security charm James built in. 3 days, Harry says. "We can wait 3 days." Hermione corrects. There's a difference. Over the next 72 hours, they pay close attention. Professor Quirrell, the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, seems nervous around that corridor. He walks past it quickly, never lingering. Snape visits it 3 times. They see him from a distance, using an old Marauder trick Sirius taught them about finding elevated sightlines for observation. Dumbledore himself checks on it once, late at night. They only know because they borrowed Harry's dad's invisibility cloak, sent via owl with a note reading, "Use wisely, return for Christmas. Love, Dad." On day 3, another letter arrives. Harry and Hermione. Dumbledore confirmed he's hiding something in the school. The Philosopher's Stone. It creates the elixir of life and transmutes metal to gold. Nicholas Flamel, a friend of Dumbledore's, agreed to hide it at Hogwarts because Gringotts was compromised. We're not happy about this. Hiding an invaluable artifact in a school is questionable judgment at best. But Dumbledore insisted it's safer here than anywhere else. The protections are supposedly world-class. The third-floor corridor is guarded by a three-headed dog named Fluffy, Hagrid's pet because of course it is, followed by a series of challenges created by various professors. Here's what we want you to do. Nothing reckless. But stay aware if anyone, student or staff, seems unusually interested in the stone. Tell us immediately. Dumbledore thinks the protections are unbreakable. We're less confident. Your mother and I will be visiting monthly under the guise of concerned parents checking on our children. We're actually monitoring the situation. Stay smart. Stay safe. Love, Dad, Mum, Sirius, and Remus. P.S. Remus says to keep up your shield work. Lily says to remember your potion safety protocols. Sirius says to cause some minor chaos to maintain the Marauder reputation. I say listen to your mother and ignore Sirius. Harry and Hermione read this in the common room, then look at each other. So there's a legendary artifact in the school, Harry says, protected by a three-headed dog and a series of challenges. Probably, Harry agrees. What do we do? What we do best. We prepare, we observe. And if someone does try for the stone, we stop them. The letter from Sirius arrives at breakfast, tied to a large black owl that lands directly in Harry's porridge. Inside is something that makes both children's eyes go wide. The Marauders map. But not the original version. This has been updated to the next generation of Marauders. Behold, the map 2.0. Your father and I updated it last night. The original version tracked people in Hogwarts as of 1978. This version has been recalibrated for current wards and staff. You'll notice several improvements. Color-coded dots, red for potential threats, yellow for unknown/uncertain, green for allies. A trace function. Focus on any name and the map will show their movement history for the past hour. Ward detection. Tap any corridor and it'll show what protective enchantments are active. Use this wisely. Your father and I created the original to avoid prefects and explore. You're using it to protect a legendary artifact from dark wizards. The stakes are slightly higher. Do not get caught with this. McGonagall confiscated the original once. It was traumatic, good hunting, Sirius. P.S. The activation phrase is still, I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Your dad wouldn't let me change it to anything cooler. Harry and Hermione take the map to an empty classroom after breakfast. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good, Harry says, touching his wand to the parchment. Lines spread like spider webs across the blank surface, forming corridors and rooms and grounds. Tiny dots appear, each labeled with a name. There's Dumbledore in his office, McGonagall teaching Transfiguration to second years, Hermione Granger, and Harry Potter in an unused classroom on the third floor. This is incredible, Hermione breathes. Look at the third-floor corridor, Harry says, pointing. They zoom in. The corridor shows a large room marked Danger Cerberus. No dots inside currently, but the wards around it glow bright red on the map's enhanced display. 7-layer protection scheme, Hermione reads. Anti-apparition, anti-portkey, reinforced walls, sound dampening, and 3 others I don't recognize. And whatever's beneath it. Over the next week, they use the map to establish patrol patterns. Filch walks predictable routes. Snape varies his path, but always circles back to dungeons near the stone's location. Quirrell avoids the third floor entirely during the day, but approaches it at night, though he never enters. That's suspicious, Harry notes. Why would a professor scout the corridor at night but not go in? Maybe he's scared of the dog, or he's planning something and gathering intelligence first. They write another letter to their parents. James's response is immediate. Keep watching Quirrell. Dumbledore vouches for him, but your mother's instincts say something's off. Trust your observations over authorities' reassurances. Halloween feast. The Great Hall is decorated with floating jack-o'-lanterns and live bats. Halfway through dinner, Professor Quirrell bursts through the doors, turban askew, face terrified. Troll! In the dungeons! Thought you ought to know. He collapses. Chaos erupts. Students scream. Dumbledore's voice magically amplified. Silence! Prefects, lead your houses back to dormitories immediately. Teachers, follow me. Where's Ron? Wasn't at dinner. He and Hermione had a fight earlier. Hermione stops. I had a fight with him. This is confusing. He might be in the bathroom. We need to find him If there's a troll loose, they slip away from the Gryffindor group using a trick Sirius taught them. Move with the crowd until a corner, then duck into a side passage while everyone's focused forward. The map shows Ron's dot in a girl's bathroom on the second floor, and moving toward him, a large red dot labeled Mountain Troll. "Run," Harry says. They sprint through corridors, wands out. The troll's roar echoes through the castle, a sound like grinding stones in rage. They reach the bathroom as the troll crashes through the door. It's 12 feet tall, gray-skinned, wielding a massive club. Ron is backed into a corner, wand raised but hands shaking. "Hey," Harry shouts. "Over here." Sees 2 children instead of 1. Makes the calculation that 2 targets are better than 1. It charges. Shield, Hermione casts Protego, one of Remus's first-year essentials. Her shield springs up, a shimmering golden barrier. The troll's club hits it and rebounds. The creature stumbles, confused. "Levitation charm on the club," Harry says quickly. "Make it too heavy to lift." "Can't levitate something that heavy while it's holding it. Then make it let go first." Harry casts a stinging hex at the troll's eyes. Another Remus lesson about targeting weak points. The creature roars and raises its hands to protect its face. The club drops. Hermione immediately levitates it, Wingardium Leviosa, and swings it like a battering ram into the troll's own knee. The crack is audible. The troll topples. Harry doesn't hesitate. Incarcerus. Ropes spring from his wand, wrapping around the fallen troll's arms and legs. It's a spell he's not supposed to know yet. 4th-year material. But Sirius taught him anyway. The troll thrashes but can't break free. "Is it dead?" Ron asks shakily. "Unconscious and bound," Hermione says. "We should get a professor." McGonagall, Snape, and Quirrell arrive at the destroyed bathroom. McGonagall stares at the bound troll, then at 3 first-years holding wands. "What," she says in a voice of dangerous calm, "is happening here?" "The troll was going to kill Ron," Harry says. "We stopped it." "You stopped a mountain troll? First years stopped a mountain troll?" "We had good teachers," Hermione says simply. Snape is examining the troll with professional interest. Incarcerus binding, competently cast. "Who performed this?" "I did," Harry admits. "That's a 4th-year spell. He said it was useful for restraining dangerous things." "Your godfather," Snape says slowly, "taught you combat magic years above your level. He taught us lots of things." McGonagall pinches the bridge of her nose. "Mr. Potter, Miss Granger, Mr. Weasley, come with me. Now." They follow her to her office, expecting detention or worse. Instead, she pours herself a very large glass of something amber from a crystal decanter and sits down heavily. "I am going to write to your parents," she tells Harry and Hermione. "Not to punish you, to ask what in Merlin's name they've been teaching you that first years can take down a troll." "Practical defense," Harry offers. "Practical defense," McGonagall repeats. "Mr. Potter, most first years can barely manage a proper levitation charm. You just used a binding spell that 6th years struggle with. Miss Granger, that shield charm was NEWT-level quality." "We've been training since we were 5, Hermione explains. "Mum and Dad are very thorough." "Clearly." McGonagall takes a long drink. "You're not in trouble. In fact, I'm awarding Gryffindor 20 points each for quick thinking and courage. But I need to understand what we're dealing with. Are all students from your family going to be this advanced?" "There are no other students from our family," Harry points out. "Just us. Small mercies." They return to Gryffindor Tower as heroes. Word of the troll takedown has already spread. But Harry and Hermione exchange concerned looks. The troll wasn't random. It was too convenient. Released on Halloween during a feast, creating the perfect distraction. "Someone used the troll as cover," Hermione whispers later in the common room, "to attempt the 3rd floor." Focuses on the 3rd floor corridor. There, a dot labeled Severus Snape, just exiting the forbidden corridor, limping. "Snape," Harry breathes. Snape went for the stone while everyone was distracted. They write to their parents immediately. The response comes at dawn. "We're coming to Hogwarts. Today. Do not confront Snape. Do not investigate further. Lock yourselves in the common room until we arrive." This is not a request. Mum and Dad, James and Lily Potter apparate to Hogsmeade at 8 in the morning. Sirius and Remus are with them. They walk up to Hogwarts as a unit, faces grim. Dumbledore meets them at the entrance hall. "James, Lily, this is unexpected. We need to talk," James says flatly, "about the Philosopher's Stone." about last night's troll, and about why our children are reporting that Severus Snape attempted to bypass security during the attack. Dumbledore's expression doesn't change, but his eyes sharpen. Perhaps we should discuss this in my office. Fawkes the Phoenix trills a greeting. The portraits of former headmasters pretend to sleep. First, Lily says before Dumbledore can speak, "Why is the Philosopher's Stone in a school? You told us it was here for safekeeping. You didn't mention it would be protected by a three-headed dog in a corridor students could access." "The protections are inadequate," Remus interrupts. "Our children mapped the entire security scheme using detection charms James taught them, 7 layers. Impressive to most wizards, laughable to anyone with Death Eater-level training." "You think Death Eaters would attempt?" "We think someone already has," James says. "Last night the troll was a distraction. While staff were dealing with it, Snape entered the third-floor corridor. Harry and Hermione tracked him using an updated Marauders map. Dumbledore is quiet for a long moment. Severus was investigating unusual activity he detected. He suspected someone else might use the troll as cover. Convenient excuse? It's the truth. I asked him to monitor the corridor. His loyalty... To you, yes, Sirius says. We know. He's your man. But he's also a former Death Eater who spent years serving Voldemort. Forgive us for being skeptical. Lily leans forward. Albus, we respect you. We fought beside you. But you're keeping dangerous artifacts in a school and trusting reformed Death Eaters to protect them. Our children are in that school. We need better answers than trust me. Dumbledore removes his half-moon spectacles and cleans them slowly. When he replaces them, he looks older, warier. You're right, I should have been more transparent. The stone is here because Voldemort is not truly gone. He exists in some reduced form, seeking ways to return. If he obtains the stone and the elixir of life, he can rebuild his body. I couldn't let that happen, so you hid it in a school. I hid it behind protections designed by the staff and myself, including a final safeguard only I know. Anyone seeking the stone for greed or power cannot obtain it. Only someone who wishes to find it but not use it can retrieve it from the Mirror of Eriside. That's clever, Remus admits, but it assumes no one will think of that loophole. What if someone creates a distraction big enough to pull you from the castle, then the protections, which our 11-year-olds have already mapped and analyzed, will hold how long exactly? What would you have me do? Gringotts was already breached once. The Ministry has leaks. Where else is safer than Hogwarts? Your home, Lily suggests, or the Potter Vault, or literally anywhere that isn't full of children. The wards here are strong, but they're not infallible. And you've underestimated what our children can detect and analyze because you're used to students who don't have 5 years of concentrated training from 4 Marauder-level educators. Dumbledore looks at them, really looks, and sees what he's been reluctant to acknowledge. These aren't the young order members who followed his lead without question. These are parents, veterans, politically connected lords and ladies who survived the war and raised their children to be formidable. What do you propose? He asks finally. We don't remove the stone, James says. That ship has sailed, but we augment security. Sirius adds Black family wards to the corridor. Remus provides data-level detection charms, and our children, who've already proven they can handle a troll, serve as an early warning system. They report anything unusual directly to us, not to staff. You want your children to spy on my school? We want our children to stay alive in your school, Lily corrects. There's a difference. And, Sirius adds, we want full transparency. If Snape or anyone else does anything remotely suspicious, we're informed immediately. No more secrets. Dumbledore considers this. It's not ideal. It reduces his control, increases oversight, admits that his judgment might be fallible. But it's also reasonable, and refusing would damage his relationship with the Potter-Black Alliance irreparably. Agreed, he says finally. On one condition, your children do not enter the corridor. Observation and reporting only. No heroics. We'll make that very clear, James promises. They shake hands, the alliance holds, though it's now defined by mutual oversight rather than blind trust. The Potters and Blacks leave Dumbledore's office and head to Gryffindor Tower. Harry and Hermione are waiting in the common room, exactly as instructed. Are we in trouble? Harry asks. No, Lily says, pulling both children into a hug. You did exactly right. Observed, reported, didn't rush in blindly. We're proud of you. What happens now? Hermione asks. Now, Sirius says, you keep being our eyes and ears, but you do not, under any circumstances, actually enter that corridor. Report to us, and we'll handle it. What if someone gets through while you're not here? Then you sound the emergency alarm we're leaving with you, and Dumbledore handles it. You two are brilliant, but you're still 11. Some fights aren't yours yet. Yet? Harry echoes. Yet, James confirms. Someday you'll be old enough and trained enough to face anything. But someday isn't today. Today, you're students. Let us be the adults. It's a fair compromise. Harry and Hermione agree. The year continues. They monitor the map, report suspicious activity, focus on their studies. The stone remains secure through Christmas, then through Easter. By June, it's clear whatever threat existed has been neutralized by increased security and surveillance. Quirrell resigns suddenly, claiming a family emergency. Snape's nighttime patrols decrease. On the last day of term, Dumbledore announces at the leaving feast that the Philosopher's Stone has been destroyed. Nicholas Flamel and his wife agreed it was too dangerous to keep, even at Hogwarts. Thus, Dumbledore says, ends our most dramatic year in recent memory. I'm told a troll was involved, and first years took it down. My compliments to Gryffindor's newest students. The house roars approval. Later, in the headmaster's office, James and Lily collect Harry and Hermione. You did well this year, Dumbledore tells them. Better than I expected, though I should have known you're Marauders after all. May I offer one piece of advice? Of course, Lily says. Don't let your children's competence make you forget they're still children. They need time to be young, to make mistakes in safe environments. If you train them only for war, you risk creating soldiers instead of people. We're aware, James says quietly. Why do you think we let them come to Hogwarts instead of continuing home education? We want them to have friends, adventures, normal school drama. The training is insurance. We hope they never need it, but if they do, Lily adds. They'll be ready, Sirius finishes. Indeed, Dumbledore says. Indeed they will. Harry Potter and Hermione Granger stand on the dais in the Great Hall, wearing their graduation robes. Harry's are deep red with gold trim, Gryffindor colors. Hermione's match, though she's added a blue stripe to honor her Ravenclaw tendencies. They're 21 and 22 respectively, top of their class in every subject except divination, which they dropped in third year, calling it guesswork masquerading as magic. The hall is packed, all four houses, families in the gallery, professors at the staff table. Dumbledore stands to present the awards. This year's head boy and head girl have been exceptional students from their very first day. They arrived prepared beyond any first years in Hogwarts history. They remained excellent throughout. They led study groups, helped younger students, and yes, stopped a basilisk in second year, prevented a mass Dementor attack in third, exposed a Death Eater imposter in fourth, formed a defense organization in fifth, hunted Horcruxes in sixth, and fought in the final battle in seventh. He pauses for the applause, which is thunderous. But more than their achievements, I honor their character. They could have used their considerable talents for personal gain or glory. Instead, they've spent 7 years protecting others, making Hogwarts safer, challenging unjust systems, and always standing up for those who cannot stand up for themselves. In the gallery, James has his arm around Lily, both of them crying. Sirius is openly weeping, not even pretending to be dignified. Remus is smiling, proud, and quiet. Harry Potter, Hermione Granger. On behalf of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, I present you with the Order of Merlin, 3rd class for services to the magical community. The hall erupts again. Later, at the graduation feast, the family sits together at a special table. What now? James asks. You've got the world at your feet. Auror training, research, politics? Auror training, Harry says. For both of us, we want to continue what you started, making the magical world safer. And after that, Hermione adds, I'm running for Wizengamot. The laws need updating. Creature rights, Muggle-born protections, education reform. There's so much work to do. You'll make enemies, Sirius warns. Powerful ones. Pure-blood families don't like change. Then we'll fight them, Harry says simply. You taught us how. Lily laughs. We did, didn't we? 4 Marauders raising 2 prodigies. What could possibly go wrong? Everything went right, Remus corrects. Look at them. Look at what they've become. 2 young adults, confident and capable, trained from childhood to be brilliant and kind in equal measure. War heroes and scholars, friends and partners. The next generation of Marauders. To family, James says, raising his glass. Not the family we're born to, but the family we choose. To family, they all echo. The Marauder family. 4 mentors, 2 students, 1 unbreakable bond. They survived the war together, raised their children together, changed the world together, and somewhere in the forbidden forest a 3-headed dog named Fluffy sleeps peacefully, dreaming of the year 2 11-year-olds mapped every security measure in Hogwarts, and their parents told Dumbledore that training matters more than authority. The end.